anybody home? Where is everybody? Good morning. Hello. Oops. 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 Where is everybody? Hello. Hello. Well, I think we have them now. Yeah. 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 Yes, sirree. Terribly sorry about that, my dear friends. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah. Didn't punch the right button there this morning, did he? Yeah. Okay. Good morning, my dear friends, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Good Day Grenada. Today happens to be, let's see here, the sixth day of no, December. Christmas is what? 6 from 25, 19 days away? Yeah, guess a lot of people busy putting their shopping list together, if not putting it together. Maybe a lot of you have already done that. You know, there are people who start shopping really, really early. I mean, like maybe the middle of the year, and there's some people who start shopping even after Christmas for the next Christmas. Well, Georgie Porgy doesn't do a lot of either of that, but I do enjoy the season. Gives me some time to catch up on some sleep. Huh? Thanks so much for joining me this morning. I see that Lori Bridgman is out there saying good morning. You coming in? Yeah, I'm coming in. Thank you so much, Lori. It just wasn't showing up here, but I do appreciate that. Hello, Margaret. Margaret is alive and well. She's out there, and goodness knows what she's got up her sleeve for you folks today. She's going to chime in, I'm sure, a bit later on and bewilder you as she normally does. And Benedict Cador is also there with us this morning. Thank you so much. And on the other platforms, see people out there around the world. We'll say hi to them a bit later on. Anyhow, this morning, we're going to take a look at, there was a sitting of the Senate this week. And boy, a lot of interesting stuff was brought up at the session. Lasted 2 days, actually. And last night I sat down and pulled out a clip, or two clips, and I joined them together. They run for 3 minutes, 15 seconds or so. The clip I pulled out was from the presentation that was made by Glynnis Roberts, one of the new members in the Senate. And she was dishing out some advice. Yeah. And I thought, interesting, interesting. So we're going to run that by you in the very first segment this morning. And then we're also going to hear the national report from the GIS. And guess what? I haven't heard from him to the contrary, so I expect that he's going to be with us. Mr. Alan Baczynski should be joining us right after the national report. And then, for the past little while, we've been bringing you a little feature with our good friend out there in the Big Apple, Grenadian, Mr. Anthony Wendell DeRiggs. Well, with Christmas just around the corner, God help Anthony, with Christmas just around the corner, he's decided that today he's going to tackle ham. Ham. It's a very interesting piece. It's a very interesting piece. And as you listen to that, I'm sure you're going to reflect on years gone by at this time of the year. But he's also going to dish out some advice to you. Okay? So, let's get right down to brass tacks. There were a few interesting presentations made in the Senate this past week. And on Sunday, this coming Sunday, I hope to grab at least a couple of them For those of you who were at work during the week and were not able to watch, yes, I know it's often painful to watch the proceedings which take place in our parliament. But if you're able to endure, you sometimes hear some very constructive suggestions being made, questions being asked, and hey, sometimes tempers even flare. So be sure to join me on Sunday. Now, having said that, this morning I put together a little clip, part of which, the second part, was music to the ears of many, simply by virtue of the fact that the comment or the request that was made came from a former labor minister. Sunday we're going to bring you, I hope, the presentation that was made by Senator Andre Lewis on behalf of the labor movement. But this morning I want you to hear a request that was made by Senator Glynnis Roberts. Check this out.
I wish to shift my focus to advancing social development. Mr. President, while the government has made significant strides in the area of economic growth alone, Mr. President, cannot sufficiently address the issue of inequitable distribution of wealth. As such, economic policy should be complemented with the appropriate social reform policy interventions which empowers the individual to be productive agents in the economy and ultimately in the society. A comprehensive approach to human development means more investment in education, more investment in health, in sports, housing, and other human capital services. That being said, Mr. President, in the area of housing, it is well known that state lands are becoming more scarce, while there is an urgent need to provide more housing for our people. As such, it would be important for the government to consider apartment complexes in design when addressing the provision of housing support for our citizens. This approach can assist with the land space issue that confronts us. However, they should be designed with green initiatives to assist our environmental thrust, meaning that when we have these complexes, we leave areas where people can do their backyard gardening, they can do other things as we look towards housing. Further, consideration can be given to provide soft loan facilities to the Grenada Development Bank for persons who have land tenure and looking to build. The nagging issue, I think, Mr. Speaker, recently is a deduction of teachers' salary. Though it may seem just to some, teachers do go overboard and beyond to provide not only education, but care for our children. In this very budget, we spoke of regional accomplishments that these teachers made this year in most of the subjects. So I want to say, while we are advancing, our economy is advancing, investors are coming, please do not let the situation go overboard that all our accomplishments are eroded in this little window. So I want to please urge, even if you want to take a day or 2 days, it is not right because teachers also have families and need to look after their children. And there are some households that have mother is a teacher, father is a teacher, children teaching. Let us be sober. I'm not judging, but I know you have money to pay their salaries, so give them back a little bit because they need to take care of their families. That's my intervention here.
Glynnis Roberts, as she addressed the Senate this past week. Now, that was just a brief excerpt, okay, from the Senate. But on Sunday, I want to bring you some longer pieces, one from one of the new faces in the Senate, new face on the scene, Ron Redhead. And I think it's important that I bring this young man because he represents youth. And I think you folks who know me know just how attentive I have been and continue and will continue to be to Grenada's youth. Yesterday afternoon, I had seven of them sitting here. We've had a lot of them appear on the program over the years, and these folks have a lot of ideas. And in the coming weeks, I promise you, you're going to be hearing a lot more youthful voices, okay? So please. The other person I really want to bring in, well, not bring him in, but I want to play his presentation, which was made in the Senate this week, is Grenada's labor representative, Senator Andre Lewis. So a lot happening this weekend. Be absolutely sure that you join us on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, 9 to 12. Take a break. We'll come back with the National Report.
Hubbard's, bringing you Frigidaire Christmas cheer. With the purchase of any Frigidaire fridge, freezer, stove, washer, or air conditioning unit, you get a free 3-piece Frigidaire non-stick pot set. Come into our appliance department on the Carronage and Building Supplies Grandance to get your trusted Frigidaire products and enhance your cooking this Christmas. Offer available while stocks last. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Boy, it's Christmas again.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Spread some cheer and show you care with GrenLec's Give-A-Wish promotion. Do you know someone who has had a challenging year and deserves some good fortune, or a worthy cause that needs extra support? Grant them a wish this holiday season with GrenLec. Just pay your bill in full, then write their name, address, and phone number on the top portion of your bill. Add your phone number and drop it into the wish box at any of our GrenLec customer centers, or you can enter online via our Facebook page. 15 customers will receive a $500 electricity voucher for giving a wish to someone who deserves it. And 15 winners will each have their wish granted, valued at up to $1,500. What's more, 230 lucky customers will win $75 electricity vouchers. Spread the cheer this year with GrenLec's Give-A-Wish promotion. Visit our website or Facebook page for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Promotion ends December 21st.
By the way, just before we fire up the National Report, have a little reminder for you. Tonight's Thursday night. So every Thursday we get together, a group of us, Margaret out there in New York, Beverly right here in Grenada. I hope that Jerry's going to be joining us tonight. He's usually in St. Vincent. Catherine, she's out there in London. We all get together for a weekly tete-a-tete, if you will. Make we chat. For those of you who have never joined us, don't miss us tonight, all right? And again, if in the event that you are unable to make it, it's going to be published on the GrenadaBroadcast.com website. You'll be able to watch us live on Facebook, internet permitting. And it's also going to be published on YouTube. Here we go, Pilgrims, with the National Report.
Grenada receives first tranche of funds for conservation activities under the Caribbean Challenge Initiative. Details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Wednesday, December 5th, I am Leslie Ann Johnson. Grenada has received its first tranche of $45,000 for conservation activities under the Caribbean Challenge Initiative. That announcement by Senator the Honorable Dr. Winston Garwe, Minister with responsibility for disaster management and information. The Caribbean Challenge Initiative is a coalition of governments, private sector companies, civil society and development partners working together to accelerate action on the marine and coastal environment. The aim, as evidenced under the CCI 20 by 20 initiative, is to protect and sustainably manage 20% of the Caribbean's marine and coastal ecosystems by the year 2020. During his contribution to the 2019 budget, Senator Garwe said this bears testimony to Grenada's efforts to protect its environment.
What does this mean? It's a clear demonstration that we only talk the talk, but we walk the talk. A lot being said that we are not so concerned about saving the environment. Far from that. This is a demonstration for us to receive the first tranche of 4. So we're talking about some 180,000 US dollars, close to 500,000 EC dollars, towards ensuring that service clubs, projects of whatever kind and magnitude will be financed towards protecting or enhancing our conservation practices within Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. This is significant, Mr. President, because there is this perception from some in various quarters that we don't care about the environment. Far from the truth. Grenada has been heralded as a leader within small states in protecting our environment. Grenada has been recognized internationally as a forerunner, and we will continue to do this. And it will bear fruits as we see more grant funding come into this country, because this government is serious about the development of this economy.
Minister for Youth, Sports, Culture and the Arts, Senator the Honorable Nolan Cox, is urging young people to see the benefits of the Youth in Agriculture project, which is designed to address youth unemployment and an aging population in the agriculture sector. Making his contribution to the 2019 budget on Tuesday, Senator Cox said the agriculture sector can make a significant contribution to the local economy once marketed and done right. The program is designed to encourage young people to see agriculture as a career, thereby contributing to greater sustainability in the sector.
We cannot sit by and not do something, because what you find happening and what we see happening in terms of the trends, and which has been mentioned here, is that imports are increasing. And the reason why imports are increasing is because a strong economy in terms of economic activity, people have more spending power, and the demand for goods and services are increasing. And if you're not prepared to take advantage of those opportunities, then you will find yourself having persons, not just only goods coming in, but maybe even farmers coming in. That may happen next. Mr. President, when I see a message come on my cell phone saying that creative design, looking for carpenters, plumbers, any among the open, that tells you something, Mr. President. It tells you the demand for jobs and skilled jobs is very high, and which means that we have work to do. And if we do not pay attention to those indicators, we will be under serious threat in terms of those jobs opportunities. Mr. President, we just had the commission of Silver Sands, and the Department of Labor can tell you the amount of work permits that had to be granted for specialized persons to come in. Those are opportunities that we missed out on. So, Mr. President, it is within that context that the Youth in Agriculture project is being constructed.
Technical and material assistance will be provided to young persons with an interest in agribusiness. The Youth in Agriculture project will focus on agribusiness training and certification, as well as youth entrepreneurship and microfinancing, among others.
Market access for young farmers Mr. President. Agro-processing, agriculture extension services. We believe through this project, we can develop a new crop of young extension farmers. I know that the member representing the farmers here this evening, that is an area of concern for him. The extension work, the technical capacity, that support can be done through the Youth Agriculture Program. Access to agricultural lands, climate smart agriculture, Mr. President, a National Young Farmers Association, Mr. President. These are also a National Young Farmers Festival. We give them an opportunity to display their products and production initiatives, Mr. President. So these are the main thematic areas in which the Youth in Agriculture program is going to be focusing on.
This is the National Report. More news after the break.
Big business don't participate.
Continuing the news, the government of Grenada will be rolling out a number of ambitious projects next year designed to address water challenges and save money on electricity. One of them is a $125 million project that will speak to some of the hurdles experienced in the country's water sector. Plans for this were outlined on Tuesday by Senator Simon Steele, leader of government business in the Senate.
This project, Mr. President, will address through increasing our ability to capture rainfall, store water in the north where it is produced, and then to distribute that throughout the country, especially to the south where it has the greatest demand. What is significant about this project is a $125 million project, the most significant portion of which is grant funded both through the Green Climate Fund and the government of Germany, plus contributions from Grenada. But through the implementation of this project, it will create opportunities for many of our workers. It's a significant infrastructural project. And the project is expected to start at the end of the first quarter of this year. Contract negotiations are being completed as we speak.
Another is the public street lighting project, which is expected to save the government a substantial amount of money when it becomes a reality.
Proposals are being developed right now with UN Environment, support from the Caribbean Development Bank, the GCF, and GRENLEC, which will look at replacing sodium public bulbs in the public lights, which are highly consumptive of electricity. This project would expect to reduce our electricity consumption for public lighting by in the region of 60%. Our public lighting bill is somewhere in the region of $7 or $8 million a year, so that will provide significant savings for government.
Celebrating the potential of the region's coconut industry, that was the theme used at the open day session of the Caribbean Agriculture and Research Development Institute, CARDI, working with the Ministry of Agriculture and Climate Resilience on Wednesday at the National Stadium, updating and informing stakeholders and the public on CARDI's activities over the past year and plans and programs for the upcoming year was the objective of the event. The coconut industry and its economic impact was the primary focus of the 2018 CARDI Open Day. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Elvis Moraine, emphasized the need for more research and database collection to become a priority in the agriculture sector.
The ministry's stronger collaboration going forward with CARDI. You'd have heard Dr. Doughton mention the issue of research and development. It is something that the ministry wants to put a lot of emphasis on. As a matter of fact, we cannot go forward in this dynamic global village thinking about agriculture without employing some research practice. We've begun the discussion of making Maribo a premier station for research and development.
CARDI's representative in Grenada, Mr. Reginald Andel, said that CARDI is an organization that believes in ensuring that Grenada benefits from the programs and projects offered by the organization. Mr. Andel also spoke about the need to invest heavily in the coconut industry.
As one of the speakers has said, coconuts is one of the, it's an industry in Grenada which since Ivan, and not just in Grenada, well, in Grenada, mainly because of Ivan and a number of other things like disease and so on, coconut production and the industry at large has dwindled. For example, one may remember we used to make soaps in Grenada from coconut. There was the copper factory and so on, making soaps right there in Tempe. That entity no longer exists. You see, that is just a reflection of the downslide of the coconut industry in Grenada, and not just in Grenada, but across the region. But also, even apart from coconuts and for other products, and many different products, for the health benefits, for the industrial and agricultural development benefits, agricultural entities have been recognizing the importance of these industries, and coconut is one of them. So coconuts for its health benefits, coconuts for its contribution to other things like beauty products and so on, for health in terms of fighting of cancers and so forth. We are recognizing these things, and hence we are trying to put that focus on coconuts. We are trying to help develop the coconut industry across the Caribbean.
And that's the National Report. I am Leslie Ann Johnson.
Alrighty, folks, there you have it. That's yesterday's edition of the National Report. Now, while you guys were listening to that, there are a few people joined us on Facebook, but there are a couple of comments I want to check in with here. Margaret was obviously listening to the newscast, and she says here we go again, begging. Margaret. We can't help it. It's in our veins. It's in our veins. Monday morning, you take a hat, jump on an airplane, gimme. Okay. T.F. Roberts says, you all should be ashamed to state in the House of Parliament that so many work permits had to be issued to foreigners. Your boss will chastise you later for that statement because, after all, that's the modus operandi of the government. He goes on to say, the only set of projects implemented by this government are those to save money. But is the money really saved or just moved around to accommodate jobs for the boys? Margaret comes back here and she says, that National Report does end so abrupt. Sheesh. Margaret. Okay. We've also been joined on Facebook here this morning by Glenna Knights and Beverly Mitchell and a good friend out there in Zurich, Switzerland, Nesta Aberdeen. And I'm going to take one quick little break here, and then we're going to come on back with Uncle Alan.
Why wish upon a star? For a bank is better by far. Whatever you're wishing for this Christmas, we'll give you low interest and no fuss.
Co-op Bank is making Christmas wishes come true. Fix up your home, treat your loved ones, and get everything on your Christmas list this year with our no-fuss loans. As we count down the 12 days to Christmas, you can win awesome prizes every day. Special terms and conditions apply.
Christmas wishes come true with Go Bank and You.
With free island-wide delivery, Hubbard's Building Supplies and Lumber Departments continue to provide the best quality lumber, steel, tiles, plumbing materials, electrical, and general hardware supplies at competitive prices. We continually consult with builders, homeowners, and contractors to improve product range and services. Enjoy discounts where applicable, including the use of credit and debit cards. At Hubbard's Building Supplies, Grandance, and Lumber Department, Caranage, we offer quality service, affordable prices, giving you the convenient, reliable, free island-wide delivery. Call 440-2087 for all your home improvement and building solutions.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
All right, folks, just about time to say good morning to Alan, but let me also say good morning to Yvonne Joseph, who's now joining us on Facebook as well. Now, before I look, take a look. See, he's there. I'm not kidding. He is there. Now, before I get to Mr. Baczynski, let me ask you guys this. Do you remember when he appeared here last Thursday morning? I interrogated him about that photograph that we keep seeing every Thursday. You see, look, hold on a minute. There he is, pointing at it. That photograph, okay? Before I started with him this morning, I noticed that at one point he got up from his chair and walked over to the photograph and stood there very, very solemnly. And I thought to myself, well, I got to ask him what he's doing. Is he paying tribute or what? But he just stood there very, very solemnly in front of that photograph. Mr. Baczynski, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
What were you
Last week I told you that it had come from the cover of a National Geographic magazine in 1975. I was wrong. It is 1965.
That doesn't answer my question, sir.
Well, that's what I was checking, the date on the bottom left-hand corner. And I couldn't quite get, because the frame obscures part of the writing, but the particular tribe, the second part of the tribal name is A-M-I-R. I don't know how you pronounce that. But that is what... I suppose there must be pastoral herders or something like that in the highlands of Ethiopia.
I see, sir. You're always so investigative, eh?
Yeah, well, when I said 1975, I thought that it might have been earlier than that, but I only just remembered this morning, and that is what you saw.
Well,
me checking. You saw me checking.
I saw you checking. I just...
Fact checking is something that is not done regularly in Grenada.
That's true. So I was wrong in thinking you were just paying tribute. Well, Mr. Baczynski, you have had a week now to gather a whole lot of information and put your thoughts together. So start sharing with us this morning.
Well, I thought I'd talk about Disneyland.
About Disneyland?
Yeah, the Magic Kingdom.
Okay.
The place where you go to separate yourself from reality.
Okay.
I don't know that you can see it when you look out from Woolwich Road, but it's up at Mount Welldale. You know, this white building with all the columns and all of that?
Yeah, no, I cannot see it from here, sir, but it's just behind my back area.
You're familiar with it?
Oh, yeah.
And listening to the coverage and viewing the coverage, I am convinced that many of the individuals who visit the Magic Kingdom up there are separated from reality. Now, for example, I heard one contributor stating that in support of a proposal to increase ministerial salaries, she had absolutely no objection. And she went on to say that in her view, everybody in Grenada should get a salary increase. And reminded people that when she was Minister of Labor, she was able to engineer an increase in the minimum wage, particularly for security guards. She attempted to put through an amendment to the minimum wage of 100% increase in the hourly rate for security guards. Well, there was some backtracking in that the 100% increase was phased in over 2 years, 50% in the first year, 50% in the second year. The issue being that with contracts being already in place and the nature of the business requires contracts to be signed in advance, and there's a lot of planning. You don't just go and wave a magic wand and expect things to happen. So that eventually her objective was realized, and the minimum wage for security guards was in fact doubled, but not at one fell swoop. That necessarily meant that the businesses who pay for security services had to make rearrangements of their business plans, models, numbers of hirings, etc., to accommodate the increased cost of security services. Some, I believe, decided to hire their own and secure themselves. And that led to certain job losses. It led to certain consolidations within the companies that provide security services. No problem, that is the nature of business. But then, in the Magic Kingdom, I heard a very interesting contribution where one honorable gentleman said that while he supported the increases in pay for ministers, he himself did not depend on his salary and would not therefore be seeking an increase, but he was recommending it for all the others. And then went on to justify the reason for the increase as being, according to him, the fact that permanent secretaries were being paid more than ministers. And saying that basically, where you ever hear that? How come the minister, the boss, could get paid less than the servant, the permanent secretary? Now, let me tell you the fundamental issue I have with this approach. It seems that the Right Honorable Gentleman has not understood the way in which government was designed to function. Regardless of what you may feel about our colonial heritage, the reality is that all through the Commonwealth, the structure of the British Civil Service was inherited. And unless we took specific action to dismantle that model of the British Civil Service, then the functions remain the same. That is, the civil service provides continuity. So it doesn't matter which administration is in office for the time being. The civil service continues. That is why we have the entrenched provisions in our Constitution to protect the DPP and the Director of Audit and the Public Service Commission. These are the entities that are protected by the Constitution. Certain other rights and privileges are also entrenched in the Constitution, and I'll come to that in a little while. But the point, the fundamental point that escapes the residents of the Magic Kingdom up in Disneyland is that very simply, ministers do not run the public service. It is civil servants. That is why there are regimes, there are rules and regulations. The permanent secretary is supposed to run the ministry, not the elected representative of the people. And that is why the public servant, the permanent secretary, is eminently more qualified, both in terms of experience and education, than the elected representative of the people, more often than not, particularly those who are not qualified to teach above primary level in the event that teachers don't come to school. Now, having said that, it needs to be repeated ad nauseum that ministers are elected to represent their constituents in Parliament. If they are so fortunate to be selected to form part of the cabinet of ministers, then they contribute to the formulation of policy. Policy is then communicated to the respective heads of departments in government, the civil service, the permanent secretary. It appears, however, that the ministers seem to have lost confidence in the ability of the persons who have been appointed by the Public Service Commission to hold these positions of trust. That is why in several ministries you seem to have more than one permanent secretary. And the permanent secretaries seem to be unable to function without directives from the minister. Now, if the minister doesn't know what the rules of the public service are, how can government function? And the answer would appear to be, we are living in a country where rules are made after and communicated after the conclusion of each cabinet meeting. And that is why you have the post-cabinet briefing, so that we are told what we are to believe and what we are to do. This is a ridiculous situation. We are in Disneyland. Now, with regard to rules, regulations, and the separation of reality that takes place up in the Magic Kingdom, I heard a contribution from the Labour representative in the Senate, establishing as precedent. In this case, it would have to be the equivalent of judicial precedent. Statements made by the presiding officer, one Chester Humphrey, with regard to the applicability or the legality of the Essential Services Act. It appears to have escaped the current Labour representative that the Essential Services Act is part of the laws of Grenada. Whether or not he personally agrees with it is of no consequence. The legal mechanism for challenging the Essential Services Act rests within our judicial system. If you don't like a law, find standing to challenge it in a court of law. If you think that because Chester doesn't agree with the Essential Services Act some years ago, perhaps you ought to ask him whether or not he agrees with it now. And not because Chester said so when he was prepared to lie down in front of the brewery's truck. It means that you, as the current representative, can lead people down that path. I will remind teachers that because they were led down a path of action and they chose to follow without inquiring as to the status of the union's strike fund, they are now reduced to begging for the restoration of the amounts which were legally, in some instances, I hasten to add, deducted from pay. because as no less a personage than Dr. Lawrence Sir, was it Sir Doctor or Dr. Sir, whatever. As he has said, it is the custom of law, or the custom of the practice of law, that you cannot expect to be paid when you have not worked. It's very simple. I mean, there's no rocket science involved here. It's simple English language. I pay you to work. It is your right not to work. And it is equally my right not to pay you when you do not work. ABC. You don't need philosophy and logic and anything else to understand that. So the next time anybody tells you, follow me, please find out how you're getting back. I'm done.
You done? I'm speechless. Mr. Baczynski, I certainly hope that you have not written to Santa Claus. Because after listening to you this morning, you ain't getting nothing. You've not been a good boy.
You see, to paraphrase somebody in the Magic Kingdom, I ain't not dependent on Santa Claus for my Christmas.
Look at that smile. You can tell. Happily retired. Look at that smile. And by the way, there are a couple of comments that came in from people who were listening to you just a minute ago. Oswald Darbo, by the way, says, good morning to you, sir. And Sharon Elizabeth Roberts Wilshire. You know that person?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, she says, good morning, George and company. I like the Magic Kingdom. Oh my gosh, I am weak with laughter. He makes perfect sense. Sharon, you got him choked up right now, girl. And then Margaret in the Big Apple. She has to throw her 2 cents in. Margaret says, Alan is quite right about the structure of the public service and the role of the PS. So while you may have some who may not have agreed with you this morning, Margaret says right on. Blow a kiss at her. You're speechless, right?
Speechless. So
TF Richard says, he just put this in here, he says, I'm in agreement with Alan on the point of no work, no pay, but then the ministers should not get paid at all. You know, you are somebody with a weird sense of humor, and I've discovered that you may have met your match in the person of T.F. Richards. This guy comes up with the most insane comments here. Thanks a lot, AB.
Okay, bye now.
You have a nice weekend, sir. Okay. Oh my goodness! Alan Baczynski there on a Thursday morning, folks, and we're not done. We really aren't done yet. I'm going to take a little break here now, and when we come back, what we're going to do is bring you that little piece by Mr. Anthony Wendell DeRiggs. So let's take that break, and then we'll be back.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company. Tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Why wish upon a star? For a bank is better by far. Whatever
Co-op Bank is making Christmas wishes come true. Fix up your home, treat your loved ones, and get everything on your Christmas list this year with our no-fuss loans. As we count down the 12 days to Christmas, you can win awesome prizes every day. Special terms and conditions apply.
Christmas wishes come true with Co-op Bank and you.
Spread some cheer and show you care with GRENADABROADCAST Give-A-Wish promotion. Do you know someone who has had a challenging year and deserves some good fortune, or a worthy cause that needs extra support? Grant them a wish this holiday season with GRENADABROADCAST. Just pay your bill in full, then write their name, address, and phone number on the top portion of your bill. Add your phone number and drop it into the wish box at any of our GRENADABROADCAST customer centers, or you can enter online via our Facebook page. 15 customers will receive a $500 electricity voucher for giving a wish to someone who deserves it. And 15 winners will each have their wish granted, valued at up to $1,500. What's more, 230 lucky customers will win $75 electricity vouchers. Spread the cheer this year with GRENADABROADCAST Give-A-Wish promotion. Visit our website or Facebook page for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Promotion ends December 21st.
Alrighty, folks, let me ask you a question. Have you bought your ham for the holiday season yet? As you listen to today's piece by Anthony Wendell DeRiggs, do me a favor. Close your eyes for a bit. Toss your head back and reminisce about your childhood days. The smell of ham. Clove. Borden. Those of you who don't know what I'm talking about when I say Borden, we made Christmas trees out of Borden. Either that or whistling willow. Yeah. Salivating over that salted ham. And while you're at it, I want you to be also absolutely sure that you take the advice which he also offers in this little piece. I bring you Anthony Wendell DeRiggs.
This piece is about ham, the tradition, our Grenadian salt ham. And I'll tell you up front, you can't separate ham, the salt ham, from a Grenadian Christmas. Can't do that. Over the years, things have changed up a bit. There are people now who would tell you, well, you know, I'm not eating ham. And some people, for religious reasons, never ate pork. Some because of medical situation, high blood pressure, etc., would want to keep away from salt ham. But fact is fact, and history is history. And the salt ham was always a part of our culture. When Christmas rolled around, everybody wanted to taste a piece of salt ham. Now, they come in different bags these days. Some in white bags, some in black bags, but it's still ham. Some come from Virginia, and you put it to soak for a number of days. You try to get out the salt. And then there's the heavier one that years ago, man, that thing was big and heavy. So you had to soak it for a long time to get out the salt. And in years gone by, we used to have something called the lard pan or the picking pan, good enough to hold a good size ham, to soak it and to boil it And some people used to boil the ham in the yard. Give you a nice feel of Christmas. You're eating the ham and you're smelling the pine tree and you're looking at the tablecloth with all those brilliant colors. Make you feel like Christmas. You want to go and hug a neighbor and smile and tell them Happy Christmas while you're looking to see if the ham boiling. So the big one now, you might tell the butcher, if you don't want to eat all at the same time, you might tell the butcher to cut it in half because you want to leave a piece for the new year. Now, that is kind of a situation that you have to look at, because if you cut it in half, now the half that you start to eat for Christmas might finish too quick. So you might want to start on the next one that you say you're going to leave for the new year. You want to start on that one right away. So it's torture and patience. Now, taking out the salt can be very, very difficult. But again, if you take out all the salt, the thing I notice, what is the sense of a saltless ham? But look, get this in mind. A saltless ham might be better for you if you have high blood pressure. But I want to be honest with you. You see, Christmas morning, why people ain't talking or thinking about high blood pressure. As the Jamaicans will say, they're namming up the ham. Something about the salt ham. When you start eating salt ham, you can't stop. You can't stop. It's like trying to eat one popcorn or one piece of groundnut and stop. Hard to stop. The urge is always there to pick the tempting ham. You want to pick it, and when you were a kid, when mommy ain't looking, you're picking the ham. But the funny thing about picking the ham, you might pick off a big piece. So you pick off a big piece, and you know your parents will miss it. So you have to put back a piece and try to fit it nice. You put back piece. And then you start picking again as time goes on. It's like putting your head to the condensed milk. You drink a little, not too much. In other words, you had to go slow. Reminding you, I'll tell you something. Christmas time. If you visit a house and your friend tell you to cut a piece of ham, remember this. Please remember this. Do not junk the ham. Now the word junk, you know, we have a lot of words. I've been putting some on Facebook recently. When you junk somebody's ham, it means you're picking off a big piece. The man tell you take a piece of ham and you take a knife and cut off a big piece. What you're doing is getting the man vexed. You're getting the man vexed. Because there's nothing worse than junking somebody's ham. You know why? It make people believe that you want Christmas to finish quickly. Christmas is done fast. And Christmas is special, a season of joy, of happiness, of goodwill. You don't want that to done. So don't junk the man ham. So when ham done, you mean Christmas done. Boy, I saw a fella one time, on Christmas morning, a friend of mine asked him to take a piece of ham. Well, he started junking the man ham, taking out the big pieces of the ham. The man didn't say nothing, the owner of the house. But he noticed him in the corner of his eye. I noticed he watching the man cookie eye. We used to call bad eye, cocky eye, bad eye. And later when the man gone, complained, oh, the man was junking up his ham. And the funny thing, the man was not even my Grenadian. And he drunk in the man ham. So I said all this to say that the salt ham is special. Now if you want to see how special the salt ham is, wait for Christmas Day and call your friends and give them a piece of package ham you pick up in the grocery. You go see how fast it's going to run. Who the hell you giving that? You're breaking tradition, man. Bring out the ham. And then, I can't leave this out. The ham bone. Boy, you don't throw that away at all. All you have to do is to collect some green peas, provision. And you take the ham bone and you make a nice pea soup. You make a pea soup like my friend Arthur makes. Make a nice pea soup with a ham bone. Nice pea soup. Hey Jude, you want some, boy? Jane, you're cooking? Soak the ham. Well, to all those who keep the tradition. But all seriously, go easy on the salt. Anthony Wendell DeRiggs.
Oh my gosh, Anthony, I don't remember junking ham. I really don't remember junking ham. Okay, but the bone, yeah. My brother and I used to fight for that. Thank you so much, my dear sir. You have sparked a lot of activity on Facebook here. Let me share some of that stuff with you. Lydia James, who was a little bit late joining us this morning. That's okay, Lydia. Never mind. You're late, but you're here. She says, oh, yes, on the firewood, those were the days. She reminisced with all of us this morning. Anything saltless is tasteless, so says Lydia. And then she goes on to say, boy, when I was a Muslim, my father-in-law, Mr. Checkley, used to cure ham. A teeth a piece and I eat. It was looking so good. I vomit as though I didn't christen. Because I didn't eat a pig for years. It had a bad effect on me. She says, that was a great piece. Brought back memories. I'm sure it did for all of us, Lydia. Veronica Sandy says, love that high blood pressure ham. Yeah. You know, that's why I'm not saying I'm not going to eat any this coming holidays, you know, but I've been trying to avoid that stuff. And Nesta says, I want a piece of ham for Christmas. Yeah, girl. Well, there you have it, folks. There you have it. We have gone over time already, but that's okay. It was really, really worth it. You know, while I was listening to Anthony there a little while ago, I thought, could you imagine if one of these days we were able to sit Anthony, Alan, and T.F. Richards, sit them down around a table. Or, maybe we could bring them together electronically here. I just can't imagine what it would be like to listen to those three characters at the same time. Can you? That's an idea I ought to pursue one of these days. Okay? My dear friends, as always, we're going to wrap it up with something inspirational for you. And the reading we pulled this morning comes to you from the book of Isaiah 25, verses 6 to 10. On this mountain, the Lord Almighty will prepare a feast of rich food for all peoples, a banquet of aged wine, the best of meats, and the finest of wines. On this mountain, he will destroy the shroud that enfolds all peoples, the sheet that covers all nations. He will swallow up death forever. The sovereign Lord will wipe away the tears from all faces. He will remove his people's disgrace from all the earth. The Lord has spoken. In that day, they will say, He saved us. This is the Lord. We trusted in him. Let us rejoice and be glad in his salvation. And that reading comes to you from Isaiah 25, verses 6 to 10. Now, some of you who are listening, after listening to Anthony, are probably saying, well, look at the scripture George went and chose. No. The selection, the choice of scripture passages had absolutely nothing to do with Anthony. It's just as I'm sitting here reading that passage, I realize, hey, they're talking about the best of meats and the finest of wines. Right after Anthony. Pure coincidence? I don't know. Back to Facebook for a minute. Veronica Sandy says, that will be a great show. And then Lydia James says, this will be great. Good morning, folks, to those of you out there in Germany and Florida, Mercier, that's in Canada, Brooklyn, New York, Boston, Massachusetts, North York, Ontario, Manhattan. And thanks for joining us. Kind of late, but like and share. Okay, Margaret, spank me if you will. My dear friends, that's going to do it for today's edition of Gudday Grenada. And once again, be absolutely sure to join us tonight. You know, if you thought this was fun, I think you'll have a hoot when we get together here on Thursday nights. And again, it all depends on the quality of the internet. It's a blast on Thursday nights. Mech we chat. And I'm pretty sure that Catherine's going to be there in England, Margaret in New York, and Beverly in right here in Grenada. I'm also going to be joining the folks. And I'm not sure about Jerry. Jerry moves around a lot, so I'm not too sure where he's going to be. But we look forward to having him as well. And, of course, on Sunday morning, your next edition of Sundays with George Grant. Pilgrims, may the good Lord bless and keep you. And by his grace, let's get together again tomorrow morning.